Christianity has many major branches, and one of them is Calvinism, a belief system that teaches that if a person is destined for heaven, they must be chosen by God. But is this idea connected to the teachings of Jesus? To understand that, we need to go back to the origin of Calvinism and its core beliefs. In the 16th century, the Catholic Church dominated Europe, not just in religion, but also in politics, education, and society. With so much power, corruption began to rise inside the church. Many believers felt that the church had moved away from the teachings of Jesus. Some major issues included the sale of indulgences. People paid money to reduce punishment for sin. Traditions and practices that were not found in the Bible. The Bible was restricted to Latin, making it inaccessible to common people. As a result, ordinary believers couldn't read scripture themselves and had to rely solely on priests. Frustrated with these issues, many people began to raise their voices. Among them was Martin Luther, a German monk and scholar. On October 31st, 1517, he nailed his 95 Theses to the church door in Wittenberg, publicly challenging church teachings. He opposed selling forgiveness, church authority above scripture, salvation through works. This moment is considered the official beginning of the Protestant Reformation, a movement that sought to return Christianity to biblical roots. A major reason the Reformation spread across the world was the invention of the printing press by Gutenberg. Before the printing press, Bibles were hand-copied. Priests controlled religious knowledge. Very few people had access to scripture. After the printing press, pamphlets spread rapidly. Bibles were translated into local languages. Ordinary people could finally read scripture for themselves. This gave people spiritual independence and broke the church's monopoly on truth. As the movement spread across Europe, it reached France, where a young scholar and trained lawyer named John Calvin was deeply influenced by these ideas. Calvin converted to Protestant beliefs in his 20s, but due to Catholic persecution in France, he fled to Geneva, Switzerland. There, in 1536, he wrote a highly influential book, Institutes of the Christian Religion. In this work, Calvin systematically explained Protestant theology, rejected Catholic traditions, emphasized salvation by grace alone, highlighted God's sovereignty over salvation. This book became the foundational text for Reformed and Calvinist churches. Calvin didn't just protest against Rome. He built a structured theological system for how Christianity should function after breaking away. Calvin transformed Geneva into a model Reformed city. Strict moral laws, church discipline, mandatory biblical teaching, removal of icons, relics, and Catholic rituals. Geneva became known as the Protestant Rome, a training center for pastors and missionaries who later spread Calvinist doctrine across Europe and beyond. Through Calvin's writings, teachings, and the movement in Geneva, Calvinism was born and eventually spread to France, Scotland, Netherlands, England, and America. What started as one reformer's theological framework became a major global branch of Christianity. Now that we understand how Calvinism began, let's talk about what Calvinists actually believe. And this is where things get truly controversial. According to Calvinism, only the elect can be saved, meaning God has already chosen who will go to heaven and who will not. This idea implies something shocking. Humans do not have true free will in choosing God. Even if you live a righteous life, even if you follow Jesus, even if you devote yourself to prayer and obedience, you cannot enter heaven unless God has already chosen you. But this raises a major question. How is this fair? Jesus taught that those who believe and follow him will receive salvation. Yet Calvinism suggests your fate was sealed before you were even born. Critics of Calvinism argue it creates a pre-selected heaven and hell. It reduces human moral responsibility. In simple words, critics say, if everything is pre-decided, then why live morally at all? Calvinism also teaches that Christ did not die for everyone. He died only for the elect. But opponents immediately point to verses like, "For God so loved the world." In John chapter 3 verse 16, he gave himself as a ransom for all. In 1 Timothy chapter 2 verse 6, these verses suggest salvation is open to all, not a chosen few. So the question arises, who opposed Calvinism? Jacob Arminius and the Arminians. They strongly argued for free will and universal atonement, meaning Christ died for every human being, and people choose to accept or reject salvation. So after everything we've learned, its origins, doctrines, impact, and criticisms, one thing becomes clear. Calvinism isn't just a theological system. It's a worldview that reshaped Christianity forever. It challenges the way we understand free will, salvation, and the character of God Himself. Is salvation a gift offered freely to all, or a destiny written before time began? Is God choosing us, or are we choosing Him? These questions don't just divide theologians. They shape how millions of Christians pray, worship, and see their purpose on earth. Whether you agree with Calvinism or oppose it, one thing is undeniable. It forces us to confront some of the deepest mysteries of faith. Tell me in the comments, where do you stand? Are you closer to Calvinism or Arminianism? Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay rooted in truth, and I'll see you in the next video.